Hello, Blankies. Welcome to an emergency Minisode. This is Blank Check with Griffin and David. I am Griffin Newman.
I'm David Sims.
Now, usually this is a podcast about filmographies, directors who experience early success and are given a series of blank checks, and sometimes those checks clear and sometimes they bounce, baby.
And today a check has bounced.
Dramatically.
Although, actually, I think he's going to cash a check, to be fair.
I think he's been cashing checks for the last 18 months on the preparatory work he's done on this project.
Yeah, there's been a few checks cashed.
I think so. I think he has made more money for not working on this movie than you or I will ever make in our entire careers.
That is for sure correct. He probably makes more money going to some meeting than I will ever make in my entire career.
This episode is called Here Today, Gone Trevorrow.
Is that actually how you say his name, or is it Trevorrow, or is it Trevorrow? I actually have no idea.
I've heard it both ways. I've always said it Trevorrow, but I'm now changing my pronunciation in order to make that joke land.
And I think it landed so beautifully.
I think so too. J.D. Amato, past and future guest friend of the show, suggested that we call the episode Trevorrow Never Comes, but I think we save that name for Colin Trevorrow's sex tape.
Yeah, God, that's a little too elegaic for me. You know, that's sort of a nice poetic title. This is not a poetic time for Colin Trevorrow.
Yes.
Yes.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. Colin Trevorrow is no longer directing Star Wars Episode 9.
Now, go on. I mean, you and I have talked Star Wars a couple times on this podcast.
We've talked Colin T before.
We've talked Colin T. We've talked about his great works, especially his most recent great work, The Book of Henry.
His magnum opus. I mean, I think the film that really, he opened his heart and showed us everything he had inside.
Yeah, that is true. And more.
Yes. It was extra. He gave us some extra.
Yeah, he's been pretty extra recently. And now he is extra. He's extra necessary, i.e., they don't need him. He is extra. He is now I can't complete this metaphor. Help me out here.
I can't. Look, these are extraordinary times. I'm in shock. You know, I feel like right now it falls upon us to act as Walter Cronkite did on the night of the JFK assassination. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, solemnly remove our glasses, mop our brows.
Yes, I mean, we are not the ones breaking this news, but I think it's a chaotic time and people don't know what to think, and we are here to try to make sense of this. I mean, I feel great about it. I don't know about you. I feel great. I'm in a really good mood. I'm really happy he's gone.
I know. It's so, it's that that's sort of usually when something like this happens, you have those mixed emotions where you're like, oh, the guy's losing his job and, no one ever wants to root for someone to get fired or whatever. But with this, I'm like, look, I'm sure he's making money anyway. I'm sure they're they're considering him a sunk cost. And he was going to be the director of the episode 9. It's just simply unacceptable.
Now, I've heard people say, you know what, I was fine with him directing it. I was resigned to episode 9 being mediocre because that's the way the other trilogy worked.
Sure, Return of the Jedi. No one ever remembers the name of that, Richard Marquand anyway. Who cares? He'll be on a tight leash. These were all the arguments.
Right, okay. Here are 3 counter-arguments to that. 2, I would be astonished if Colin Trevorrow were capable of producing a Return of the Jedi. Batting at that level, right? B, you still had Lucas at full strength overseeing everything at that point. You have Kathleen Kennedy, who's directing all the traffic, but she's not the brain source in that kind of way. And 3, don't we want a better world than the world that existed before us? Don't we want society to progress and evolve? Shouldn't we complete a trilogy successfully?
Right. Yeah. Why must we redo the sins of the past, the mistakes of our forefathers?
Exactly.
Let's try and give this to a nice, good filmmaker.
Yeah. Now this is the big question: who should take over? At the time we're recording this, a couple days after the news broke, there have been a stunning lack of leaks, because I feel like very quickly after the Lord and Miller firing, Howard was thrown out as name.
They had their short list right away.
You were starting to get reports of what went wrong there, and we still haven't heard much other than Kathy Kennedy probably saw a Book of Henry.
Well, let me backtrack and tell you what I've been reading on the gossip blogs, because I feel like this is crucial to why maybe we don't have a short list. So, a couple months ago, we know all the other, Kathleen Kennedy fired the directors of Han Solo, like you mentioned. She's not been afraid to throw the baby out with the bathwater if she thinks it's for the vision she has.
As Mike Ryan tweeted, there have now been more former Star Wars directors than successful Star Wars directors.
That is essentially accurate, yes. So you've got Trevorrow. He was hired to direct Episode 9 practically like a year and a half ago, right? At the same time as they hired Rian Johnson, pretty much.
More like 2 years ago.
Yeah, like a long time ago. So then the Book of Henry comes out.
Far away.
Exactly. Then the Book of Henry comes out. It's a critical disaster. It's certainly, there's a lot of hubris on all sides there, because Colin Trevorrow seems a little blindsided by it.
Right. We do our episode. We dunk on him hardcore. It's even more embarrassing because we have the final word on everything.
Exactly. Slam dunk the funk, and all that. And Book of Henry, on balance, bad movie.
Yes.
And
agreed. The worst.
What I'm reading in especially there's this Vulture piece that hit today, written by Chris Lee, that seems to suggest that Colin Trevorrow, and this is Chris Lee's words, not mine, is a slightly arrogant man.
Interesting.
I don't mean to blow the doors off here, but the Colin Trevorrow, after making one indie movie and then getting hired to make Jurassic World, has a somewhat inflated opinion of himself as a filmmaker.
Interesting.
I'm just letting all of this settle in, because I know it's something that none of us could have ever considered. And
never.
Because he was blessed by Steven Spielberg, with the Jurassic World hiring, and he was blessed by other big shots like Brad Bird, who sort of apparently recommended him for the Star Wars gig. Because of all that, he had his idea of whatever Episode 9 was going to be. And he was running with that, very, very confident of himself. And it sounds like Kathleen Kennedy was incredibly not confident about his idea for Episode 9.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. About a month ago, they brought on a new writer to take over the script, which
Jack
previously
Thorne.
because he had previously been in charge of writing.
Exactly. Him and his partner, Derek Connolly, or whatever his name is. That his name?
Right. Screenwriter of Monster Trucks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, maybe it was because they had a Creech-centric Episode 9. I don't know the details of what his pitch were. But
we know at this point that America is not ready to meet Creech. Those lessons should have been learned by
America proved that it was not ready. Maybe Colin Trevorrow thought it would be ready in 2019. I can't tell you for sure. And so he's got this story pitch that clearly, they're rejecting it. They're like, we're going to bring in a new writer. And it does seem something came to a head, and Kathleen Kennedy was like, you got to go. Did you read this Vulture piece?
I did not. I will read it as soon as this episode is done, which is the wrong time to listen to it in relation to this episode.
I just want to read you the last line of it.
Please do.
A lot of these guys got very rich very fast and believed a lot of their own hype, and they don't play by the rules. They want to do shit differently, and Kathleen Kennedy isn't going to fuck around with that. So there you go. So in charge, I don't know. I feel like, the rumor or whatever, the thing people seem to be sort of whispering is like, why not just keep around Rian Johnson? Seems like everyone's pretty happy with Episode 8. That all seemed to go smoothly. Can you just
I
keep
agree.
him?
Now, right. By all accounts, that has been the only Star Wars movie produced without a completely dramatic development and production. Right?
Yes, correct.
So, I'd say let him keep driving the car. No need to take new shifts, on the road trip. But
would you even say let him keep driving the speeder?
Yes, I would. Let him keep driving the speeder. Right.
Yeah.
B, I would say it's a weird position now, but I wouldn't wish a Star Wars movie upon my favorite filmmakers anymore.
It's a bit of a poison chalice.
Two people up and spit them out. Yes.
It's true. Everyone immediately takes to Twitter and they pick their favorite ever director, essentially, or maybe some young up-and-coming star, and they're like, they should do it. And it's like, clearly there is a lot of thought about how this plane should be landed, and Kathleen Kennedy is the primary auteur of, what Star Wars is going to look like. So I don't know, if you really want to waste the, feature debut of some big director you love, or, the blockbuster debut, on this. They're just going to get swallowed whole.
Right. Or even worse, waste them not working on another movie because they spend 9 months in development on a Star Wars movie and then get pushed off of it.
Right. Or they get, pushed aside while recuts happen or whatever.
Right. Any of that. If Rian Johnson seems to have figured out how to work within this system successfully, which by all accounts he has, and the movie itself is really strong and represents his own sensibility and his own perspectives as a filmmaker, then let him make every single Star Wars movie.
Yeah, exactly. Just hand it over to him if he wants to do it. He may not forever.
He tweeted a month ago, I will make as many Star Wars movies as they let me make. I've had a great time working on this.
I wonder.
So if that is a genuine,
and I don't mean to say anything, but I wonder if Ryan maybe felt anything in the earth. He heard some trembles.
A disturbance in the Force, you're saying?
How did I? Yes, exactly.
Because the other obvious answer was, would they circle back around to J.J. Abrams? And J.J. has conclusively said, I did my Star Wars movie. Thanks. I don't want to do another. Right.
Yeah, and it's a trying thing, and he has a family that he's obviously very intent on being around as much as possible. And Episode 7 took him away from them. So yeah, he doesn't want to do it. Forget him. But clearly, yes, they want a steady hand. They want some sort of practice, experienced hand at the tiller. Do you have anyone in particular you'd love for this? Brad Bird's busy, the original sort of choice for this. Who are we gonna have?
My answer is my list begins and ends with Rian Johnson. Honestly,
there you go. Well, one endorsement.
I see the other people who are thrown out, and I love the idea of, in my mind's eye, them being able to make that movie successfully. But I don't have any faith in that being able to happen. Yes. I guess the second best option is Ava DuVernay has been very vocal about her fandom of Star Wars, how much she'd love to make one. She just made a big sci-fi movie for Disney. If that movie is good, if they're happy with that, what were you going to say?
Go ahead. No, she just feels the sort of easy option for people to sort of go to, right? Because again, she's this up and coming. I don't know. Does she really want to make this movie? It feels like a nightmare. Ava DuVernay worked in PR for years. She knows how this shit works. She knows what a mess it is.
And also, remember, she was the first choice for Black Panther. She met with them and said, this is what I'd want to do. They said, this is not what we do at Marvel. And she left and decided to make her own, original blockbuster. Adapt a thing that wasn't part of a franchise.
Yeah, but she made it with Disney. I think the same thing
would happen in Star Wars. Right.
Yeah, but she is in the Disney home right now. She's making Disney's big March release next year.
Which is why I think people keep banning her now. And is a vocal fan of Star Wars.
Well, look, I think two things are going to happen, one or the other, right? Something like the Han Solo thing where 3 weeks from now we see a short list,
Sure.
And Robert Zemeckis is on it or whatever, some sort of very established old school Spielberg generation guy like Ron Howard was, right. Yeah. Exactly. And then maybe some other names or whatever. And they pick from that, or we don't hear a lot. And then they're just Rian Johnson did a great job. Or maybe even The Last Jedi comes out and it, whatever does well. And they're wait, Episode 8 looks great. Episode 9 is going to be by the same guy. Like, nothing to see here, folks.
That's kind of my prediction. I mean, right now, I think they have episode 9 scheduled for May of that year because they've made this May shift. I think they push it back to December, and I think they quietly announce, in order to work around Rian Johnson's press schedule for Last Jedi, and they just let him.
That all makes sense.
Continue driving the car.
Because, as we know, and it's very sad, Carrie Fisher died, and they were all pretty clear about, like, we had a rough idea of where episode 9 was going to end and, like, how the arcs are going to regress, and now that's going to have to be different. So there's definitely, like, someone needs to come in and write Star Wars episode 9. Like, be it Rian Johnson or someone else. Like, that job has not been completed. It's not like they have it ready, the script is ready, and it's like, we just need a solid hand to come in here and get everything done. Like how Return of the Jedi sort of worked. George Lucas was like, I know what the movie is, someone here, and someone just come in and direct it.
Because they've been all pretty clear that as much as there was a master design for these 3 movies, the idea was 7 is Han's movie, 8 is Luke's movie, 9 is Leia's movie.
It does seem that way. So that's a bummer.
It's a major bummer.
But Colin Trevorrow not making episode 9 is a major success.
Yep, we won. You're welcome.
Oh, God. He's going to kill us. No, he's not. He doesn't know who we are.
I mean, I'll say, I've always been worried a little bit about how much I shit talk him.
You do. You do like to make fun of him.
I do, and I do it publicly, and I do it loudly, and I do it frequently.
Yeah,
all those things are true. And he was still in a position, of directing a massive, massive movie. He still had that career cachet, right?
Yeah.
And I went into my manager's office the day the news broke because I had to self-tape an audition. And they said, like, hey, you must be excited about that Colin Trevorrow news, huh? And I was like, oh, no one is worried about the ramifications of me talking negatively about him anymore.
I mean, he's at a low ebb right now.
He is. I did this whole 6-week press tour for The Tick, which ended with me in Australia at night doing phoner interviews with people in India. Great. And the final question I had on the final interview at the end of this 6 weeks was, you've been very outspoken in your hatred of Colin Trevorrow. Can you tell us what's behind that?
Who is that? Who asked that? They must listen to the podcast. They must.
They must.
They have to. That's where you do most of your... I know you like tweet about it occasionally, but come on. Like, that's a blank check fan.
I believe some blankies also included that as a trivia fact on my IMDb page.
Oh, so maybe they were just reading right off of your Wikipedia or IMDb or whatever.
It might be. Also on Wikipedia, I'm listed as being married to TC14. Thank you very much for that.
Oh, I was actually going to bring that up. I think that's, especially a lot of people have said, a woman has never made a Star Wars movie, and that's something that needs to change. TC14's been steeped in Star Wars for a very long time. We've never seen conclusive evidence that she died, so she probably is still alive because that's how it always works. I mean, you saw how she served that tea. She knows what a Jedi is. She can recognize them with her own eyes. I think she's a pretty logical choice. Sorry?
No, she's a steady hand. I mean, she never dropped the tea. And I also think you're right that we haven't had an actor from a Star Wars movie direct a Star Wars movie. But of course, who would know the inner workings of a Star Wars shoot better than someone who's quietly been on the inside for 20 years?
If not longer. Who knows how long TC14's really been going for it?
Well, it was a long time ago. Galaxy Far, Far Away. We don't know.
Exactly. So, TC14, I would say definitely at least on my top 5 candidates. I just wanted to get that out there.
And looking at my IMDb trivia page right now, and it says, on multiple occasions, Newman has stated his personal disdain for director Colin Trevorrow and has vowed to never work with him. He considers Trevorrow to be morally bankrupt and minimally talented. So thank you to whoever wrote
that. Something you should get off of your IMDb page, in my opinion. Immediately, if not sooner.
Morally bankrupt.
Like, that's not the kind of thing you want any director to see. Jesus. And you only have 9 items of trivia. This is one of 9 items.
Yeah, one of them is just the fact that you and I have a podcast together.
Yeah, then another one is 3 of them are the names of your family. So it's really like there's 5 other items.
Yeah, I agree. But
and one of them is that you dropped out of college, and one of them is that you were fired from Mulaney. So this is like not the best IMDb trivia page I've ever seen. You might want to like get your favorite kind of melon on there or something. Some nice sort of like regular facts.
Well, we all know that honeydew is the money melon. But also, I like that the other fact is that I based my running off of the T-1000 in Terminator 2.
Yeah. That's the one good fact. That and that you host Blank Check. Everything else is basically like he dropped out of college, he didn't get jobs, or he has a family, which, like, congratulations.
Right. Now, this is just an emergency minisode. I think we got to wrap this up. You're in Toronto.
Yeah, we're on the phone right now. I'm in Toronto at the Toronto Film Festival. I'm seeing movies. I'm going to go talk to George Clooney in like 3 hours.
Okay, shut up, dude. Fucking humble brag. I think we should wrap this up, but I want to leave our listeners with one final plea, okay?
Yeah.
For years now, I've been telling people that if you see director Colin Trevorrow on the street, give him a kick in the penis.
Oh, boy. God, even when he's down like this?
Well, no, that is my exact point. Okay. I am now lifting my fat law. I'm saying if you see Colin Trevorrow on the street, give him a pass. Guy's going through a tough time right now. Public firing. He's eating crow.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you see Colin Trevorrow on the street, neither kick nor punch his penis. That is my official decree. Give the guy a break.
Let it not be said that the Blank Check podcast is not just and fair.
Now, if I hear of any penis kicks or punches, I'm going to be very, very disappointed. Very disappointed.
Yeah. And that's your final call. I think it's very... We should just call you Judge Newman from now on.
So it shall be.
And, if they ever make a Judge 2, you should probably be in it.
Right. And then we'll do Judging the Judge 2, Hyper Judge.
Yeah, Judging the Judge 2, Hyper Judge. Exactly. Hyper Judge, Judging the Judge, the Judge 2, Hyper Judge.
Yes.
I just sequenced both the name of the movie and the name of the podcast about the movie.
And those, of course, are your final thoughts?
Of course. That's how I wanted to end this.
Oh, my God.
Oh, we love you, Ben. Yeah, this is crazy. We had a whole cross-country phone call just to talk about fucking Colin Trevorrow getting fired. May his name never be uttered again.
It was an emergency mobisode, and look, a mobisode, minisode, but maybe you're listening to it on your phone. I pray we never have to do it again.
Exactly.
Thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe. Thank you, Andrew, for our social media.
Oh, boy.
Thank you, Elaine Montgomery, for our theme song. Joe Bone and Pat Reynolds for our artwork. Tune in a couple days for The Devil Wears Prada with my sister, Romilly Newman.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
And as always. What were you going to say?
I said it's going to be good. Devil Wears Prada.
Oh, it's a good app. It's a good app. We got it in the can. It's a good app.
Yep.
And as always, may the force be with you.